If you haven't been following Apple very closely over the past few years, then you might have missed just how much their retail stores have changed. You see, in 2014, Tim Cook hired Angela Ahrendts as the company's new Senior Vice President of Retail and Online Stores, and she began implementing ideas to not only make it easier to buy products, but also make it easier to learn about products. And that's where the concept for Today at Apple came from. But what exactly is Today at Apple, and why is it such a big deal? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. This is Greg with Apple Explained, and I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you want to help decide which topics I cover, make sure you're subscribed, and voting polls like this one will show up in your mobile activity feed. So if you've recently been to any of Apple's retail stores, you've probably seen a huge screen at the back with a bunch of wooden cubes to sit on. That's actually a relatively new area that Apple added when Angela Ahrendts was in charge of the stores, and it was designed to be the perfect area to hold workshops, which Apple has been giving at their retail stores for quite some time. I actually remember my dad and I attending a workshop for using macOS 10 Snow Leopard, and that was back in 2009. So while workshops at Apple stores aren't a new concept, Apple has definitely taken a new approach to them, and that's exactly what Today at Apple represents. It's basically just putting a name to all the events your local Apple store hosts each and every day. But Today at Apple isn't just a title, it also represents how seriously Apple is taking the program and how important they feel it is to their retail experience. Because although there have been workshops in Apple stores before, they were typically just a handful of people huddled around a small table, watching an employee give a presentation on a computer monitor. It wasn't exactly a magical experience, and it wasn't very appealing to casual visitors in the store. But when Apple rolled out Today at Apple, they made it clear how seriously they were taking the initiative. Because no longer would workshop attendees be subjected to makeshift presentations, instead, Apple would dedicate an entire area of their stores strictly for workshops. And that was a complete game changer. It created a welcoming environment for people who may not even know what the presentation is about. Someone may have stopped by to check out the latest iPhone, but then sat down and stuck around to learn about making music with the iPad. So Apple completely changed the experience of workshopping in their stores with the introduction of Today at Apple. And now you're probably wondering why. Why would Apple allocate so much of their expensive retail square footage exclusively to giving presentations to people who may not even know what's going on? And there are a few answers to that question. The first of which has everything to do with the atmosphere of Apple stores. Because ever since 2001, when the first Apple store was open, they'd only ever had one worldwide remodel of every location, which happened in 2007. During this renovation, Apple made several changes. They got rid of cash registers, instead opting for handheld point-of-sale scanners that could be carried around by associates to ring up customers anywhere in the store. They also added a concierge service to welcome visitors to the store and help quickly direct them wherever they needed to go. The Genius Bar was extended from 11 feet to about 35 feet, and the software shelving was removed from the center of the stores. This remodel allowed Apple to free up space in their stores to display more products, which was necessary since they'd be introducing many new devices including the iPhone and iPad, but it's important to understand the type of atmosphere Apple was trying to achieve with this remodel. They wanted to make the retail experience more seamless, convenient, and quick. You walk into the store, and a concierge directs you to your Genius Bar appointment right away. Or they might direct you to a product that you're interested in. You could try out that product, talk to an associate to learn more, and then make the purchase directly from them, without ever waiting in line or checking out with a cashier. It allowed customers to get in and out of the store quicker than ever, and it didn't take long for other companies to copy that exact same technique. Just 2 years later, Microsoft started building their own stores, and the setup looked eerily similar to Apple's. And when another company copies something, Apple always responds by making their version even better. So it isn't a surprise that they quickly went to work on a new and improved version of the Apple Store, one that offered more value to customers than simply a quick and easy shopping experience. That's where Today at Apple came in, which would offer inspiring classes for creative and curious people. And if that's something that appeals to you, like it does to me, I highly recommend joining Skillshare. It's an online community with thousands of classes to explore new skills or deepen your existing passions like illustration, design, photography, video creation, freelancing, and more. Whether you're a beginner, pro, or just starting out with something like YouTube, Skillshare has classes that fit your skill level in your schedule. Not to mention, taking different workshops help break up the routine of spending all day indoors. Skillshare classes like storytelling through film, color grading for filmmaking, and YouTube success are essential if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, since they teach you how to create high-quality videos that are worth watching. I actually used this lesson called Logo Type Masterclass with Jessica Heish to help create my Apple Explained logo, especially when getting the proportions just right. And since I could receive feedback from millions of members in Skillshare's community, I always had a fresh pair of eyes to look over my work. So I highly recommend you take advantage of these classes. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Now, when Apple decided they were going to renovate their stores for the second time, it was important that it be done all for the right reasons. And that's exactly why we saw Tim Cook trying to pursue then Burberry CEO Angela Ahrendts for the Senior Vice President of Retail role at Apple. He recognized that she'd completely transformed the retail experience at Burberry and managed to offer customers the type of value that Cook wanted for Apple stores. After years of persistence from Cook, Ahrendts finally relented and agreed to join Apple in 2014. That's when plans for the company's new retail stores were set into motion. But what specific qualities were driving the design and layout of these new stores? Well, it had everything to do with creating an environment where visitors could not only buy products, but also stick around and hang out. Ahrendts actually used Starbucks as an example, saying, "Starbucks figured it out, being a gathering place. Meet me at Starbucks. And I've told the teams I'll know we've done a really, really great job if the next generation, if Gen Z says, meet me at Apple. Did you see what's going on at Apple today?" And I think that's the most clear piece of evidence proving why Today at Apple was created. It not only changed the atmosphere of their stores from a fast-paced retail experience to a more relaxed hangout spot, but it also offered customers more value for their money. Because not only are they getting a great experience buying an Apple product, they're also getting free training along with their purchase, which isn't available at many other tech retailers. But it also works the other way around. Let's say someone's just visiting an Apple store to check out the new renovations with no intention on making a purchase. If they see a demonstration of drawing on an iPad using the Apple Pencil and they happen to love illustration, they'll immediately recognize the benefits of those products and be more likely to buy them in the future. But Today at Apple isn't only about product demos. They also feature performances and interesting presentations about the local community. I actually experienced this myself visiting the Michigan Avenue store in Chicago. I was just stopping by to see the new store's beautiful architecture when I noticed someone giving a presentation about Chicago's history and how the city developed over time. It was actually fascinating, and I ended up staying for about 45 minutes, which was much longer than I'd expected. I guess you could say I got sucked in, which is how Apple's ecosystem as a whole is designed to operate. You buy an iPhone, and its software features suck you into buying an iPad. And those devices sync seamlessly with a Mac, which makes you more likely to buy one as your next computer. Now, Apple appears to be taking that same approach with their stores. You're drawn in by the fantastic architecture or to try out the newest iPhone, and you become interested in the musician who's performing at the back of the store. Or maybe you notice someone sharing tips on how to take better photos with the iPhone, and you stick around to see more. Or perhaps your phone is low on battery and you notice the new seating area with a beautiful wall garden complete with wired and wireless chargers. The new Apple Store experience is built entirely around attracting visitors, offering value, convincing them to stay, and giving them a reason to come back, with their Today at Apple sessions being a vital part of that strategy. But perhaps one of the biggest benefits of this approach is how difficult it is to copy. Apple products deliver unique experiences through software and hardware that competitors have a hard time recreating. And since Apple is simply showcasing those unique experiences with Today at Apple sessions, the competition will have trouble imitating the strategy even if they tried. But I should mention that this isn't really a new idea for Apple. They've always had elements of this strategy in their retail stores ever since the very first location in 2001. The best example being the Genius Bar, a free tech support resource that not only made customers feel more confident in their purchase, but also gave users a reason to visit the store outside of simply making a purchase. It was so successful that not only is the Genius Bar still around today, but it's been expanded to take up even more space and help even more people. And I think Today at Apple will have a similar future by attracting even more visitors, allowing Apple to retain more customers, and perhaps expanding even further. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.